Welcome back, everyone. Yesterday, the EFCC picked up the Ekiti State Commissioner of Finance and the State Accountant General. The agency says that they were arrested after they refused to honor previous invitations for a probe in relation to pending investigation of the allegations of misuse of bailout funds by the Governor Ayodele Fayose administration. In contrast, Kogi State government has decided to make its August allocation and spending public. They say it is in line with their transparency and accountability policy. We've been talking to Mr. Bismarck Rowani, a regular economic analyst on Channels Television, giving us insights on the state of Nigerian federating units and whether or not some of these states are insolvent. If you look at the situation now, if you are to advise any government at the center, federal government right now, with the situation of some of these states, what would you be telling them if a state is insolvent? What are the implications?
First and foremost, I think it is pathetic to hear people talk about shareable revenue. And this is chronic debtors who have a feeding bottle mentality of going there as parasites to rely on handouts to pay to meet their bills. And when did it become a strategic objective of any company or any state to pay salaries and say we've done exceedingly well because we have paid salaries? You knew the obligations of the state before you contested the election to become a governor. You knew the status of the states before you said you will solve all the problem in your manifesto. Now you're getting there and you are now blaming external variables for this. So I don't think any of those explanations are tenable at this point in time. The solution, number one, is to accept that there is a structural imbalance. There's financial insolvency. And therefore, you have to either request for some of the debt, which you have to be rescheduled, and you have to do some homework by tidying up your internal expense structure. This has not been done. So the chronic debtor status will continue, and it becomes even much more chaotic as time goes on.
Be a painful advice that you will be giving to workers in some of these states that you have identified as chronic delta states. If you are to advise any worker in that state right now, do you see the situation getting better? If perhaps any of these workers are your brothers or sisters, what would you be telling them?
First of all, I think first and foremost, you are not committed to staying in a job where you're not getting your salary. So you probably have productivity issues. That's why you're staying back there. If you have been owed for 12 months, or you have other things, other means of livelihood, which means that you have been stealing government time to do your own private business. So in all cases, there are some hard choices and hard decisions that have to be made, both by the workers who are there, many of them ghost workers, many of them unproductive workers, and many of them actually unfortunate to be there at the time they are in. And on the other hand, the governors and the state government who have to do their work to ensure that it's better to cut your coat according to your cloth and meet your obligations as and when due, rather than going cap in hand every month to Abuja to beg for handouts and with your feeding bottles.
Let me give you a hat you must wear tonight, Mr. Rowani, and that's a political hat right now. I know you are more interested in the issues of numbers, but I'll put you in a very difficult situation right now. Everybody is talking about the issue of federalism and the structure of our state right now, the issue of restructuring. But when the federating units are not working, right now, politically speaking, of course, what do you think is the solution?
First and foremost, for those who understand sociology and political science, the Emil Durkheim's approach of structural functional approach to analyzing political and social problems. The structure could be bad, but the functioning could be right. So talking about restructuring means that you are identifying it as a single dimension problem, which is just structure. There's also the functioning. So you have to deal with the two issues at the same time. And the political reality is that these structures are not functioning based on the revenue profile that you have. If the revenue profile was to change, or if your output and productivity was to change, you will have no problem. I don't hear Lagos State complaining. I don't hear Ogun State complaining. I don't hear Anambra State complaining. they are able to manage their resources properly. So there's a management problem as well as a structural problem. And to think that even if you change the structure and you have a poor management, you end up with the same solution. That's my answer to this.